It's Rouge's Santa Claus ale here, or whatever. So it doesn't list the ABV that I can find on this bottle. I kind of boycotted Rouge for quite some time, but this came in the Build Your Own 6-pack, and it was one of the only one I had to pick because I've had all the other ones. So here we go. Santa's Private Reserve Rouge Ales. 12 fluid ounces, and like I say, I'm not finding ABV on here, so I'll look for that and put it in the annotations later. So if you're on your tablet or whatever, you might not be able to see it. That's the trick with annotations, huh? So yes, and I do have a glass. I got my yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's clean. All right. Okay, so this is actually looking a little bit better, because I find there's still kind of those bigger bubbles. With the Pac-Man yeast, you kind of get like this caviar type dish soap bubbles. Well, that's at least my theory. And let's see what they seem to use it in all there. So it's reddish copper in color with a roasty malt flavor and a hoppy sprucey finish. So yeah, doesn't say anything about the Pac-Man yeast on here. They're definitely smelling hops. A little bit of citrus type hops in there, with a sweeter pineapple type. I was expecting something darker. Yeah, it does have a nice piney finish. A little bit of pineapple before that. Yeah. Quite thin-bodied. Really thin-bodied. Nice bitterness to it, actually. For that color, you would expect a much heavier mouthfeel in this beer. And flavor, you're certainly more... You are getting the brown flavors, the malty. Well, the darker flavors. It's not coming off like big and malty, though. It's a really strange winter ale. A little bit. It's actually a really good flavor profile, but if you don't like piney type hops, I would say it doesn't. You know, there's no literal pine needles in here, I'm sure, but it does taste damn near that piney at the beginning and at the end. So there is definitely a sprucey hop in here, and well, it smells like pineapple, like citra or something. Very sweet, but that could be like just the malts coming through. Well, it smells sweet, but it's anything but. Thin-bodied, slightly dry in the finish. It's a really peculiar beer. It's really weird. So you'd think this would be like a Scottish pale or something. Like a reddish, like a red ale. Very malty. But if you look closely on the side there, you see how it's kind of like transparent. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. It's hazy, but yet it's thin. Yeah, and there's a slight bit of grapefruit behind the pininess. And you get that grapefruit in the finish, but it's very easily confused with the pininess because there is a pininess kind of riding on top of that. And at the very start, for sure. Well, it's not horrible or anything. It's not really blowing me away here, but it is kind of neat that it's so light. It's very drinkable, sessionable, if you can handle that amount of grapefruit and pininess in your hops, which I'm okay with. But it's just really peculiar that it would be this light-bodied and thin. It's kind of messing with me because I'm not used to a beer that looks like this or being this hoppy to be this thin. Well, Santa's Private Reserve. I'd say it's worth picking up, actually, depending on the price on this. It's one of the beers I've liked more from Rogue. I haven't drank Rogue in maybe at least 2.5 to 3 years. So I just remember it being, the bubbles were always the same, the head was always the same. They always used the Pac-Man yeast, and back then, I thought it was a bit overpriced. Although now a lot of the other bombers are catching up. If you're spending $9 a bomber up here, that's not that abnormal. Considering, you take a few things into consideration. I think when you're buying these beers is to not spend that if it's just like a 5 or 6% brown ale. That's kind of a rip. That if it's an imperial stout at $9.50, it's a little bit different. So just keep that in mind when you're buying this shit. And their beers always had like something. They were hazelnut or something, and so sometimes they're about 8% or whatever the hell they were. So it wasn't really that out of line, but I mean, just beware. I find it odd that it almost looked like I was pouring the yeast in there. It's so hazy, but yeah, so thin. But it's not. Okay, for a rate, I'm gonna give it it's about an 8.5, really. It is very peculiar, though. It's a very interesting beer. It's very different. So if you think you'd like this, you might want to pick up a 6-pack of it, or a single. If you can get it in a single, that's great. It is weird stuff. Just I'd like about 8.5 for me out of 11. Yeah, Santa's Private Reserve. Ow!